What up, though? Amongst the people who are termed Black Americans or African Americans, but properly Indigenous Americans, it's those of us that were fortunate enough to have experienced seeing giants, dance crews practicing their skills, preparing to battle other dance crews for no other reason than to display their skills to the viewing crowds. Brothers who were highly skilled in flipping, flip flop, no, half twist, full twist. Many come to mind from my neighborhood. Relay races were a way for all ages of males and females in the neighborhood to show all spectators who was the fastest runner, and more than that, who still had it. Most of the time, the relay races was in the middle of the street. And when the females would race, they would most always race bare feet. These activities turned the smallest among us into giants. Girls jumping rope was as much a staple in my neighborhood as penny cookies and candies, pickles and peppermint sticks, snowballs, bags of Doritos with ground beef and cheese whiz, Mike and Ike's cherry clans, lemon heads, and Boston baked beans. The females of varying ages didn't just jump rope. They jumped double dutch. AAREG. Inspiring the young minds of our future. This is African American Registry, inspiring the young minds of our future. Not sure how they plan to do that by holding up what everyone knows as the shape of the continent that is termed Africa, which is connected to the landmass that they call Europe and Asia. They are all one landmass. But they give you the African diagram, the picture of what is termed Africa, as if it's not connected to Europe and Asia. It is truthfully Afro-Eurasia. AAREG, inspiring the young minds of our future. Black history in Double Dutch, then they give you the term Black history. There is no human that is black. But for the sake of this show and for the sake of the article, let's move on. Black history in Double Dutch, jump rope, a story. Evolving from Africa, Double Dutch is historically a jump rope game played originally by black children, mainly girls, in rural and urban areas in America. Evolving from Africa, Double Dutch is historically a jump rope game played originally by black children, mainly girls, in rural and urban areas in America. The person who wrote the article is throwing in evolving from Africa in order to keep your mind in a state of slumber, to give you your thoughts before you have a chance to use the ones you were born with, to use the thing that you were born with. Remember, the people who wrote the article came from the womb of a woman, as did you. Evolving from Africa is a hijack. If you can't see it, then I definitely can't make it clear to you. Double Dutch is historically a jump rope game played originally by black children, mainly girls, in rural and urban areas in America. Show me someone from the so called landmass of Africa, which is properly Afro Eurasia, that's jumping double Dutch. Oxford English Dictionary, double Dutch. North American of rope skipping over two ropes turned in sequence. Rope skipping from 1895, rope skipping game in which two ropes are used. Oxford English Dictionary, Dutch. From 1876, double Dutch, a language that one does not understand, gibberish, or a language that one doesn't understand, right? They say a language that one does not understand, but then say gibberish. We talking double Dutch here, 1876. So what you don't understand is termed gibberish. Y'all familiar with that? Do that sound familiar? The New York Times, The Art and Artistry of Double Dutch by Gia Corlass. A pair of swirling ropes, two turners to maneuver them, and at least one jumper to fill out the rhythm, slip seamlessly in between the ropes and bounce in perfect time. Is an integral piece of African American culture, or what you would term Black American culture, but properly American culture. The culture that everyone wants to be a part of, the culture that brings everyone from all over to indulge and engage in. The indigenous American culture. Double Dutch has been a competitive sport since the 1970s when someone wanted to monetize it. Double Dutch is very much an art form. It is. It is. And I could tell that from a young age. This is about preserving the legacy and history of Double Dutch. It just found its feet outside the urban communities in and outside of the United States. But it was brought by the Dutch. It just found its feet. We're talking double Dutch here. Jumping rope. It just found its feet outside of the urban communities in and outside of the United States. But it was brought by the Dutch. Miss Brown, who was raised in Queens, attended the competition at Lincoln Center, as well as neighborhood ones as a child. I never competed, she said in a phone interview. I could never jam like they did. That was on another level. For her, double Dutch is about identity and African American culture. It speaks to the African rhythms and African traditions that continue to be within African American culture, she said. Where do they do double Dutch in Africa? Tell me in the comments section where double Dutch is done in Africa. This woman says African rhythms. It speaks to the African rhythms and African traditions that continue to be within African American culture. But Africans, people from the soil portion that they call Africa, which is 50 plus countries, if you want to talk lines on the map, it seems as though the people in the place that is termed Africa have copied quite a bit from the so-called African American or the so-called Black American and properly the indigenous American. Again, show me a place where they jump in double dutch in Africa. Please, somebody. Because double dutch is something that is like not even a discussion with someone like me who saw it, who saw girls jumping double dutch as a little boy. Dolores Finlayson, a member of the Fantastic Four, we would actually dream of tricks. If someone says something couldn't be done in the ropes, it almost became our job to prove them wrong. That speaks to the American psyche. The artistry behind double dutch, it requires balance, resilience, coordination, timing, and there's a lot of gymnastics involved as well. Poetry in motion, daredevil flips, and breathtaking rhythmic coordinations. I implore you to go look at some double dutch footage if you can. However, it still can't compare to seeing it as a child, growing up around it, it being a part of the fabric of the neighborhood of so many neighborhoods in America. So many indigenous American neighborhoods. Frankie Smith, Double Dutch Bus. Classic song. Something I'll never forget. It's just certain rhythms. It's just certain songs that when you hear them, it always takes you back to the inspirational moments of your upbringing. It brings you to the inspirational moments of block club parties and things like that. Dizubble, dizuch, bizus, wizuz, mizaid, is in, is early, is 80s, and was typical of the soul of indigenous American neighborhoods. This is from NPR. How the Fantastic Four Took Double Dutch to New Heights by Allison McCabe. The Fantastic Four Double Dutch team. Americans. Hold it down. Hold that down. Dutch settlers may have brought double dutch to America. Yeah, for real? Get the out of here. Dutch settlers brought double dutch to America. But it was black girls who put it on the map, says Lauren Walker, president of the National Double Dutch League. Black girls. It was American girls. You heard them? Dutch settlers may have brought double dutch to America, but it was black girls who put it on the map. When they speak of black girls, who are they speaking of? American girls. But they always have to put that black on there. And they always got to put that African on there. You know why? I'm asking the question, you know why? So that you don't exist. You learn from your elder siblings. You learn from your same age, peer age group in schools, hanging out on the stoop, on the sidewalk. You got to have rhythm to do double dutch. Then in 1973, two New York City policemen, Ulysses Williams and Lauren Walker's father, David A. Walker, established double dutch as a team sport and got it into schools. When the first tournament was held a year later, nearly 600 kids participated. Many more were inspired. See how the stuff we do is the stuff that was done as children in our neighborhoods are inspirational to people all over the world. In 1980, the Fantastic Four became the Double Dutch World Champions. A photograph of the Fantastic Four taken on the tour by Jeanette Beckman has circulated widely, for example, appearing on a book cover and in an exhibition at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. This is, from my estimation, a disgusting organization. A greedy, disgusting, despicable organization. That's just my opinion. It's just my opinion. I don't know anyone who works there. But it seems that they are grave robbers. They are the gatekeepers of history and culture. They have acquired fame. They have acquired recognition. They have been esteemed as a dignified organization by identity theft. For example, appearing on a book cover and in an exhibition at the Smithsonian National Museum of African American History and Culture. African Americans don't have history because African Americans are a new type of human. We're talking American history and culture, and don't get it fucked up. It's American history. Learn your story. And you'll know exactly where you fit into his story, and you'll know exactly how he stole your name. However, the Fantastic Four were identified on the tour bill as the Double Dutch Girls, and the photo has often been interpreted merely as an expression of friendship. Friendship of four American giants. The Double Dutch bus. Four American giants. Let's go back. Look at these sisters doing their thing, just like thousands of other sisters was doing their thing. All giants. All American. Yeah. Let's shake it. Dane Calloway. After coming across Dane Calloway's YouTube channel, I heard him say, start out by speaking to the older members of your family. Ask them questions. Record them if possible. Write down their responses, their answers. This will help you learn who you are and who your family is, and it'll help you learn what your story is, especially if you're starting to do genealogy and tracing your family through records. He says, speak to the older members of your family, which I did, and my journey continues. Legendary Big Chief Top Cats, a lecturing giant on behalf of what is termed Black Americans or African Americans, but properly Indigenous American Indians. Let walk. Kudameo, Awa, the history teacher we all need. And if you have a book club and need a suggestion, check out Kudameo, Awa. Mag Bitter Truth, questioning everything. Move. Oxford English Dictionary. Giant. One distinguished by the possession of intellect, strength, valor, etc., an extraordinary amount or degree, from 1535. One distinguished by the possession of intellect, strength, valor, an extraordinary amount or degree. Do the right thing.